Fire Emblem Echoes: Shadows of Valentia is a curious game for a number of reasons. It's a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, the second NES game in the beloved turn-based strategy series. Never released outside of Japan, Gaiden is sort of an odd duck when it comes to Fire Emblem, featuring mechanics that either would not be seen again or wouldn't return until much later. Yet these very differences are why the remake is so fascinating. By pivoting away from prominent ideas found in the other 3DS Fire Emblem games, Echoes feels like a revitalizing change of pace.
Sir Olm, our scouts have spied Regalian forces up ahead.
Then the battle begins here.
The story of Echoes takes place on the continent of Valentia, split up into two major regions, Rigel to the north and Zofia to the south. Both Rigel and Zofia have patron deities who believe in wildly different ways of living. These differences result in war between the nations, and the two childhood friends you play as, the soldier Alm and the priestess Celica, end up on different sides of that conflict. The major themes present in Echoes, such as an ancient destiny, hidden connections to positions of power, and grand political schemes, are not only well-worn within the fantasy genre, but are commonly seen throughout other Fire Emblem stories. Yet what prevents Echoes from becoming tired is how it presents these ideas. Echoes is easily the best-looking 3DS Fire Emblem game. Each exceptionally detailed character design has a spark and personality that makes them eminently likable. The various towns also give the world a much greater sense of weight than other Fire Emblem games. By poking around these areas, you'll uncover items and even recruitable units. More importantly though, conversations with townsfolk and others do a commendable job of fleshing out the scope of the war. They'll tell you how the constant battles are affecting their lives, and you'll get a variety of perspectives. Such world building is never overdone and helps ground your constant strategic skirmishes. The best interactions come from within your own armies. Both Alm and Celica have endearing companions that add a vital personal and lighthearted touch to an otherwise somber tale. For example, there's the irrepressibly spunky May, who zealously gloats about her powerful magic. While individuals are charming, the interactions between units are surprisingly well developed, such as sibling quarrels that arise between the socially awkward mage Luthier and his younger sister Delphia. Fire Emblem has consistently made characters worth caring about, and it's no different here. Learning what drives your units to risk life and limb is easily one of the game's most enjoyable aspects, largely because of the restraint shown. The dialogue in Echoes is never too jokey or referential. It's also a tremendous boon that nearly every interaction is fully voiced, a first for the series.
Isn't that right, Celica?
Please stop talking before you dig a grave so deep we all go tumbling in.
The fully 3D dungeons are rarely long or difficult to navigate, but much like towns, they nonetheless add some welcome diversity to the flow of the game. In Dungeons, Echoes shifts to a style reminiscent of an action RPG. You can break objects to reveal items, and surprise attack enemies to gain an advantage. After engaging an enemy, the game reverts to turn-based battles on a grid. Dungeon layouts do an admirable job of incentivizing thorough exploration with several powerful weapons or fountains that buff up character stats, tucked away in the corners of the map. It's on the field of battle where the quirkier aspects of Echoes and by extension Gaiden come to light. Gone is the familiar weapon triangle, where swords have an advantage over axes, axes beat lances, and lances crush swords. In fact, there are no axe users to speak of whatsoever. Archers can attack and counterattack within melee range, so they're more threatening and versatile. However, they lose their natural advantage against flying units, making the fantastic mobility of Pegasus Knights exceptionally valuable. Many spells now have an HP cost associated with them, which may not seem like a significant deal at first, but can easily mean the difference between life and death if not managed properly. Units can only hold one item at a time. Bumping up a character's defense comes at the cost of them doing more damage with a better weapon, or being able to use a healing item in a pinch. Skills are also tied to weapons, rings, and shields instead of being earned by simply raising a unit's level. The more you invest and use an item with a single character, the more skills you'll learn, necessitating careful consideration of who gets what. Haphazardly assigning items means missing out on skills that could potentially shore up weaknesses, or provide a crucial advantage. Taken as a whole, these unconventional aspects make Echoes tantalizingly challenging without it ever becoming too alien or frustrating. Without the weapon triangle, it's more difficult to brute force your way through certain situations, since you won't be able to rely on a weapon's natural advantage. As a result, you'll need to use nearly every unit effectively instead of a handful of superstars, as is possible in other Fire Emblem games. Since Echoes likes to throw a lot of enemy units your way, it's important to be meticulous about positioning as well. Carelessly charging forward, not being aware of attack ranges, or failing to use crucial terrain bonuses promptly leads to units getting surrounded and killed. It's exactly the sort of punishment you'd hope for in a great strategy game. One huge quality of life improvement is Milla's turn wheel, a mechanic that may initially seem off-putting but avoids a lot of wasted time. It essentially allows you to rewind the battle to a more favorable point and has a limited number of uses. Since fights in Echoes often last more than 30 minutes, the turn wheel can save you from an absurdly lucky critical hit or an accidental attack. Due to the limited number of uses, the turn wheel doesn't defang the challenge of Echoes at all, it just provides a smoother experience. Those who feel adamantly against the mechanic can easily ignore it as the game doesn't push it in your face. Echoes has a few shortcomings that become disappointingly more noticeable as time goes on. For one, map designs aren't as varied as expected. Quite a few times, it's just the enemy's army in the north and your army in the south, with little to interact with in between. We hoped for more challenging ways to approach the enemy, or more creative means to use the environment, but Echoes comes up short. Overly simplistic maps is a common criticism of the original Gaiden as well. Another source of frustration is that after a certain point in the story, Echoes uses an aggravating enemy known as a Cantor far too often. Cantors continually summon units until they're killed. While summoning units does cost the Cantor HP, they're usually located in spots where they get that amount of health back every turn. The reinforcements are rarely all that hard to take down, but their incessant nature makes fights much longer than they need to be. Perhaps if used sparingly, Cantors could have been an enjoyable obstacle, but they're found in the vast majority of story encounters after they're introduced, quickly growing tiresome. Thankfully, they're the only unit that ever gets on our nerves in the otherwise tense fights. The Amiibo support in Echoes does a decent job of being rewarding without ever feeling necessary. In battle, you can use Amiibo to call upon phantom warriors that last one turn. Although it may not seem like much, an extra unit can turn certain death into a manageable situation, especially early on. The Alm and Celica Amiibo also come with their own short, unique dungeons. These dungeons are very straightforward, but the rewards are decent enough to justify the effort, including currency to strengthen weapons and shields. After the explosively popular Fire Emblem Awakening, the expansive Fire Emblem Fates, and the mobile Fire Emblem Heroes, Fire Emblem Echoes is a welcome deviation. By stripping away some of the most familiar combat mechanics and digging into exploration and world building, Echoes satisfies in different ways than its immediate predecessors, and that satisfaction is more appreciated than expected. We've grown to deeply care about what we're fighting for, and relish the way the game challenges our own Fire Emblem knowledge. Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to see our other videos. And consider becoming a patron to help us make more.